Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember,
crying. So we are going to take Osoji, a different Osoji from the head of the dragon. You know that anytime we come in this form, anytime we appear in this form, I want to inform you today that those, the criminals in IPOB that we have expelled, those who parade themselves before as the leader or as the leaders of IPOB, the people were expelled, the criminals, starting from the Chinas and Woru, Chike, Doziem, all of them, the criminals that we have expelled from IPOB. They say they published something called press release. I do not want to be discussing these people, but they keep dragging me. And of course, it is not in every garbage we are going to respond. So, they said they made a press release, and in that press release, they say they want to start arresting criminals in Biafra land and prosecuting them. I don't know where they have the government to do that. Of course, we just know that all they do is to seek relevance. So, they are putting hand here, hand there, without direction, because they are all criminals and fake. They have come with another one. They say they want to start arresting criminals and prosecuting them. And then I ask myself, the people that don't even have one single village under their care will now arrest criminals and prosecute them. So, I want to tell you today that it is not actually they want to arrest criminals. They are the criminals themselves. So, I want to tell you today what they plan to do. I want to tell you the plan of the criminals that we have expelled from IPOB. Those who say Mazen Nnamdi Kanu can no longer lead them. I want to inform you that the dragon flag is still high, very, very high, flying all over Biafra. So because dragon is a very significant creature in this movement, we are going to take our Osoji from the head of the dragon. Those who say that they are going to bring people, I want you to know that if you go and align yourself with the criminals against Biafra, you will go down. We have entered a different stage of this movement. Our focus now is to make sure that we defend Biafra in 2023. Those who are not part of us now, they are going to come as time goes on. I want you all to understand that we have crossed the Rubicon. I saw a comment today on social media where somebody commented on Facebook and called Simon Ekpa a con man. That person is in Finland. He commented on a post made by somebody called Obi West. He called me a con man. I read the comment, I laugh. Tell him that I have seen his comment and I have taken note and record of the comment, including where he said Simon Ekpa has no property, no nothing in Nigeria. My message to him is that I have heard you and I have taken note of that. Some of them who think that they have one block in their village, they will go on social media and be bragging about it. When you talk about freedom, when you talk about protecting their people out of envy and jealousy, they talk about somebody they know nothing about. I know that somebody who is close to him is watching me now. Tell him that I have seen his comment, because they never believe that I will go as far as reading comments on social media. I read comments. I read comment. Tell him that I saw the comment and I have taken note of it. But he must stand as a man to defend his word when I remember him. All right. I want you all to understand, like our leader said, when our leader said we have mountains to climb, our enemies has been defeated. We have defeated all of them. I am telling you the fact. We have defeated all our enemies. I want you to understand that the reason why we are going to leave Nigeria next year, 2023, irrespective of what, is what I'm about to show you now. The following. But before then, let us go to what the criminals that we have expelled in IPOB have done. Let us go there. As they are struggling and struggling to serve the masters that they collected money from to sell Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya, they are not going to stop. I want you to see what the criminals in IPOB have resorted to do. The game has changed, says IPOB. They are not IPOB, they are criminals. The entire DOS has been expelled by Biafrans on the 28th of February. These people came, they say, the game has changed, says IPOB. Vow to arrest, prosecute criminals. We are all chasing after criminals in our land. Ask yourself, where is this criminals, or where are these criminals going to prosecute arrested criminals like them? Do they have their own court? Do they even control a village? Do they control one village? Is there any village in Biafra land where these criminals will look and point at today and they say, we are controlling this village. We have our own government. We have our own court. All of them are hiding. All the criminals, they are into hiding. They are into hiding. But what do? They dish out bogus statement just to serve the interest of the Fulanese. They say they want to start prosecuting. You prosecute criminals in which court? Dead their career. Because we ended their career. We ended completely their career. For many years, these faceless criminals that sold Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, for many years, they give them money. You will not see the money anywhere. I want you to understand that the criminals we have expelled from the Biafra movement are on rampage. And of course, you don't need to understand. The Nigerian media are promoting them. The game has changed, says IPOB. Vow to arrest, prosecute criminals. And you don't need to, Nigerian media shared it. They reported it. Ask yourself, how are these criminals going to prosecute criminals in Biafra land without even having freedom? There is no direction, there is no vision, there is no nothing. This is how they have dealt with Mazen Nnamdi Kanu for years. For years. As I am talking to you now, there is no village in the entire Biafra that you will look at and say, this is where we have our government. We don't have government in Nigeria at this moment. We are not terrorists that will go to village and begin to set up parallel government. When we declare Biafra and defend our territory. When we declare Biafra and have our judiciary, have our police, have our everything in place. We can begin to arrest criminals and prosecute them when we declare Biafra. But these criminals, these illiterate nincompoop that we have chased out of this trouble, every time they issue statement is a disgrace to Biafra people. And of course, the people that are sponsoring them, that made them to sell Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Now, we have been able to make the kidnapping of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu worthless. Very worthless. They continue to gallivant, looking for who to bring to Radio Biafra, looking for who to bring there to come and talk and tell you, of course, those who listen to them, that, oh, this is the people you should listen to. Somebody have to come to tell you, listen to them. They are not, and they can never arrest Fulani. But let me tell you what they want to do. That is why the dragon is out. I want to tell you what they want to do. They say they are going to be arresting criminals. There is no criminals they are going to arrest. What they want to do is to replicate what transpired during the Anambra election. Anambra election. They want to begin to give guns to their criminals to go after ESN. They want to go after ESN. They collect money to go after ESN. Anybody that collect gun from them in the name of coming to look for ESN in the name of Ebubago, just go and write your will and say your last prayer, because you will never succeed. Everything in Biafra land will work against you. So I want to explain exactly what they actually meant by this particular statement that the Nigerian media are sponsoring. They have seen how resolute we are that there will be no election. They have seen how serious we are that Biafra will come next year. I was even told that the Mohammed Abbas in Kuwait, the murderer and criminal, China Sanworu in Kuwait, is laughing. How can somebody who is not even, who have not even spent years in the struggle will come to say Biafra is coming next year? Don't listen to him. It's not possible. Biafra cannot come next year. These are the people who have collected your money for years in the name of fighting for Biafra freedom. As I'm talking to you today, there is nothing to show for it. Absolutely nothing to show for it. And when we stop them from getting that money, they are all running mad. They hear the autopilot to say that Biafra will come in 2023. They are panicking and they are crying. And you ask yourself, what is then their problem? For many years, they shout Biafra. When somebody comes to say Biafra is coming, they start crying. They cry like babies. They pray, the Biafra will not come. Let the Biafra not come so that you will shame Simon Ekpa. Oh, Biafra must not come. We are going to fight against the ESN so that Biafra will not come. Come and fight ESN. If you have the balls. Agabapelunu movie. Of course, you know what? You know the python you fed. You feed the python. The python has grown. Come and fight ESN. So I want to inform Biafrans today, for those of you who are going to become victims, they will come and tell you, come, we are recruiting ESN, because you know they continue to parade themselves that they're still in contact with ESN. They have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with ESN. But some of you will be deceived. Oh, come, we are recruiting. Come and take oath. Your oath you are taking from these criminals in DOS, expel DOS. The oath you are going to take is the oath you are going to use to fight against ESN. Is the oath you are going to use to cause chaos. So the oath will first of all strike you down. Nihogo. Nihogo. Unugada. They say Biafra cannot come in 2023. How can Biafra come? And so you are going to be person they are going to use to come to disrupt ESN. You will go down. We are entering, or we have already entered the liberation phase of Biafra. So the question I want to ask you, if you go to northern Nigeria, the bandits there, they have set up a parallel government in the north. These people, for many years, all they do is to embezzle money. All they know is about money, 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 money. So anybody that comes with a genuine mind to do anything, they think the person is doing the same thing. the person is doing something. They say, oh, you are the person. How can the person say Biafra is coming and you believe him? How can the person say Biafra is coming and you believe him? There is no court of IPOB in Biafra land. There is no police of IPOB in Biafra land. We do not control any territory, as in controlling or setting up parallel government, not at this time. But the day we are going to declare Biafra, we are going to do that. We continue to struggle. They are struggling now is not a Biafra. They are struggling now is for the Nigerian newspaper to always announce them. All they are interested in is to give out press statement. Faceless press statement for the Nigerian media to announce them. We have, that time is over. That time is over. And so therefore, I want to give warning to those who may be deceived into joining them. Soludo said, the repentant one have joined and they killed the double lion. You hear the story of how they killed the double lion? If it is military, Nigeria army, that killed double lion, it would have generated a lot of backlash. Believe me, just like Ikonso, it would have generated a lot of backlash. So what do? The Soludo government and the sellout Fulani servers and stooge in Biafra land have decided to use you that will be recruited to fight against ESN. The military don't have the might again. The military don't have the power again. The military don't have even the morale again to fight Biafra people. So out of envy and jealousy and wickedness against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they are going to call you, come, I want to recruit you to ESN. You are not being recruited. Anything recruitment from the DOS criminals have nothing to do with ESN. You are being recruited as a government killer squad to be used against ESN. So if you take up that assignment, consider yourself going to God at the end of the day, because you will not survive it, not in Biafra land. Let us now focus on the Fulani and the Nigeria government, how they roll. Before we go into this exposition, I want to give a background of what we are trying to avoid. So come with me to this journey of exposition to know what we are trying to avoid and why we must leave Nigeria as soon as possible.
There was a time when Afghanistan was a modern state. Faith was a private matter, burqas were optional, women and men could travel together. Right next door, Iran was not far behind. It was at par with the Western world. Women could step out without a veil, even meet men at public places. But the Iran and Afghanistan of today are a lot different. Today, hijab is mandatory, Western clothing is frowned upon, clerics dictate societal norms, religious police patrols the streets, civil rights are all but non-existent. What happened in these countries? They came under the Sharia law. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay and I come to you with arguably the most controversial concept in the world, the concept of Sharia. It's back in the news after the Taliban took over Kabul. They plan to rule Afghanistan under the Sharia law, under the Taliban's version of the Sharia law. What does that mean? What will change in Afghanistan? What place does the Sharia have in this day and age? How many people in the world follow it? Why is it so controversial? Why does the world fear it will take Afghanistan further back in time? We've spoken to a lot of scholars and experts to put this report together. We'll try to answer all these questions, starting with the first question: what is the Sharia? To many, the word conjures horrors of hands being cut off, of adulterers being beaten, and women being oppressed. In fact, no religious law has ever had worse press as the Sharia has in recent times. Why is that so? Thanks to the misrepresentation, manipulation, and misuse of the Sharia. By whom? Islamic regimes, politicians, clerics, radicals, terrorists. They've all used the Sharia to rule in the name of God. So,
that is exactly what is happening in Nigeria. Terrorists, Boko Haram, Atiku Abubakar, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidency, all of them have used Sharia to rule Nigeria. And recently, they are killing people. They call them blasphemies. The same doctrine, the same thing Boko Haram is fighting for, the same thing Bandit is fighting for, the same thing Mayete Allah is fighting for. And that is why I have said there is no Muslim Northerner or a Northerner from Muslim, from a Muslim from Northern Nigeria will ever go against Boko Haram in reality, because exactly what they are fighting for is this particular way of life. Chopping off hand, killing people, stoning them to death by blasphemy. And as I'm talking to you today, in the 12th northern state, it is the law, Sharia. It's something the Taliban is bringing to Afghanistan. I want you to listen to this.
coming back to the question, what is the Sharia? Well, there is no clear definition. Different people understand and apply the Sharia in different ways. But if we put the broad concepts together, this is what a definition would sound like. The Sharia is Islam's legal and spiritual system, both divine and philosophical. Divine because it is said to be God's will for humankind. Philosophical because it is based on the human understanding of what that divine will is. In Arabic, the Sharia translates to the clear, well-trodden path to water. The human interpretation of Sharia is called the fiqh, which literally means understanding. Now, these terms are used interchangeably, but they're not the same. Sharia is considered divine, permanent, infallible, but its understanding is human. It's a set of rules put together by Muslim scholars over the centuries. These rules have been drafted and applied to suit those in power. Where do the rules come from? Three sources: the Quran, which is Islam's holy book, the Sunnah, which is basically the deeds of Prophet Muhammad, and the Hadith, the sayings of the Prophet. There's a range of other sources to work out how God wants Muslims to live. There is no single law book, no definite statute, no set judicial procedure to determine what the Sharia is. It's really a vast collection of different, often conflicting interpretations. These interpretations gave birth to 5 schools of thought, 5 legal schools of Sharia. And you must know this, there are different kinds of Sharia, you would say. Hanbali, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanafi. These 4 belong to Sunni Islam. The 5th is a Shia version of Sharia. It's called Jafri. All 5 of them are named after theologists and jurists, the men who interpreted Islamic texts. Hanbali school is the smallest and strictest of them all. Primary source in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. It also has significant followers in these countries. The Maliki Sharia relies mostly on independent understanding of the Quran. It is predominant African nations, the whole of West Africa, along with Chad, the Sudan, and Kuwait. The Shafi'i school of Sharia relies on consensus over understanding of the Quran, and this is where it followed East Africa and Southeast Asia, in countries like Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Lower Egypt, Djibouti, the Maldives, Indonesia, and small communities in Malaysia. We have the Hanafi school, the earliest, the most flexible version. It relies on consensus and independent reasoning. The Hanafi school has the largest number of followers, approximately 1/3 worldwide. They live in Turkey, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. And then we have the Jafri school of thought. followed only by Shia Muslims. It is enshrined in the constitution. It also has a lot of followers in Iraq and small the world over. So we have 5 different versions of the Sharia. How are they different? Not in terms of faith, but in their practice. They're in how they pray, how they resolve legal matters, how they settle marital disputes, how they deliver punishment for certain crimes. And this is understandable because no religion is uniform. But the problem begins when religion is mixed with governance.
I want you all to understand when religion meets with governance. Let us listen to how that happens when religion meets with governance. When religion mixes with governance.
Many Muslims who embrace the Sharia as an institute, that's where the problem lies. The Sharia was just supposed to be a way of living, associated with political power. When Europeanism began to spread, the crown and the church came together. The church was used to further the rulers. The same thing happened in Muslim kingdoms. And while European nations later separated the church from the state, many countries did not. France, Britain, and other European powers had colonized much of West Asia, Africa, and Asia. When they left, leaders of the newly formed Muslim majority countries faced a dilemma. Should they govern based on previous Islamic values, or should they embrace laws inherited from colonial rule? Well, they chose the Sharia as the basis of their legal justice system. And this gave birth to all kinds of theocracies, hardline and moderate. Countries like Algeria, Libya, Egypt, the Sudan, Syria, Iraq, Oman, Yemen, Pakistan, they all had the Sharia. Even countries which were not colonized by the West adopted the Sharia. In 1932, Saudi Arabia was formed as a theocratic monarchy. Islamic revolution. Until then, it was a secular monarchy. After the revolution, the clerics took power, an Islamic republic. Then, in 1996, the Taliban seized power in Afghanistan, made it a terror regime based on the Sharia. What makes this law acceptable in some countries and horrific in others? Its understanding and implementation. Some countries enforce the most discriminatory and patriarchal aspects of the Sharia. They selectively picked certain verses from the Quran and legalized draconian practices like polygamy, talaq, genital mutilation. They also enforced rules that had little or no basis in Islam. Research shows that most of these punishments were not sanctioned in the Quran. They were not practiced by the Prophet. Yet today, they've been made the highlights of the Sharia. They're being used to dictate daily lives of Muslims the world over. A lot of the followers do not understand this. They just stubbornly uphold ignorant and unjust practices. The biggest victims of this are women. Does God judge differently based on gender? For many clerics, it does. Despite the fact that women worked and fought alongside the Prophet. In some cities, women cannot step out in a abaya or a veil, but men can dress the way they want. Women cannot stand for president, but men can govern for a lifetime. Women cannot choose to have an abortion, but men are allowed to have 4 wives. Women cannot travel without a male guardian. Women cannot drive. Women cannot retain custody of their children after divorce. And they receive half of what is awarded to their brothers in inheritance. The list of restrictions on women in the name of God is appalling. And the Sharia's misuse does not end there. It is cited to justify what they call the conquest mindset, to wage wars in the name of Islam, especially by terror outfits who portray themselves as more faithful than other Muslims. They use religious scholars in their ranks to make finely crafted arguments, to use religion as a pretext to perpetrate violence. They exploit people who have little understanding of Islam. They recruit them as foot soldiers to fight their politically motivated wars. Some join them in the name of faith, some in the name of their land, some for a good paycheck, and some because they're just murderous. But this is not the Sharia. Let me tell you something else. A lot of damage has been done in the name of religion by people from all faiths, by people from all cultures. That's true for the Sharia too. Yet it remains a way of life for 1.8 billion followers of Islam in more than 57 countries. Does that make it acceptable? Who decides? And in which form? Here's what I think. All things, including religion, must evolve with time. If some practices are outdated, they must end. Religious law may not have a place in modern nation states governed by a constitution. If the Sharia's interpretation and practice clashes with today's way of life and social structures, then perhaps it's time for revision and reflection rather than resentment.
If the Sharia clashes with a modern constitution or the way of life, just like it is clashing in Nigeria, when people are being stoned to death in 2022 and is being supported by presidential candidates, those who have.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.